Okay. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting date were posted online, published in the Hunterdon County Democrat and the Easton Express Times on April 30th, 2020, and posted on the door at Borough Hall. Action may now be taken. Please join me for the flag salute. Allegiance to the flag.
One nation, under God, indivisible, liberty for all.
So I think that's the messiest part of these meetings, honestly. We've got to be able to figure out coordinating all of our voices at the same time for the flag salute. Roll call.
Columbus.
Here.
Barry.
Here.
Hughes.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Grange.
Here.
Zappa.
Here.
Lee.
Here. Okay, so announcement from Mayor Lee. I'm not going to make an announcement. I'm going to save my comments for the end of the meeting during our updates by council committee assignments. If you don't mind, that was a late change today, Adam. Motion to dispense with the reading of the May 13th, 2020 regular minutes.
Move. Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Grange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Motion to approve the May 13th, 2020 regular minutes.
Move.
Second. Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Grange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Okay, first up, we have a number of proclamations in the category of better late than never. I know that we're about a week behind on each of these, but I didn't want to let it go by without being noticed, especially as we've been, asking for extra help during these last 3 months for each of these departments. So with that, I have 3 proclamations on the agenda: the recognition of all the Department of Public Works, the National Police Week, and EMS Week. So up first is support for National Public Works Week, May 23rd. Again, I do understand that we're a little bit behind, but I didn't want it to just slip by and wait until next year. So the proclamation reads, whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the Borough of Highbridge. Whereas the year 2020 marks 60th Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Be it now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council of Highbridge Borough that we do hereby designate the week of May 17th to May 23rd as National Public Works Week, and we urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, ceremonies, none of which we actually have, designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions that they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. And just on a side note, I've used the word resilience quite often over the last 3 months, and it just means, in short, the ability to adjust and adapt and move forward. And I really see that quite obvious with our DPW. They've adjusted their work schedule. They maintained the borough. They came up with creative ideas to get people's brush picked up. They have stepped up for the borough, and I want to make sure that they're commended for that. Next up, we have the support for National Police Week, May 10th to May 16th. Whereas police officers focus on the safety and protection of our citizens with the service of great importance to our community, to our public health, and to our quality of life in the Borough of Highbridge, and I'm skipping over a little bit. Whereas the year 2020 marks the 58th Annual National Police Week, and now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council of Highbridge Borough that we do hereby recognize May 10th through May 16th, 2020 as National Police Week. We urge all citizens to remember and thank our police officers and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our health, safety, and quality of life. And I'll add that my experience over the last 3 months, and I'm sure everyone in the borough can recognize this as well, is that Chief Bartman and the policemen have been on the very front lines working with our Office of Emergency Management to make sure that we have our executive orders in place, that we're in compliance with these executive orders, that they're patrolling and enforcing the orders. And really, it's just to make everybody safe and not to be a pain in the butt. And one of the other things that we do that maybe people don't know about is they also check in with our special needs residents to make sure they're okay. And one officer in Highbridge actually found time to make a wedding happen. And, again, resilient, he adjusted, he went down to 10 people in attendance, he got married, and it was a beautiful day. Third, Proclamation 005-2020, support for EMS Week, May 17th to May 23rd. And I assure all these people that next year we won't be late, we'll be early with these proclamations. Whereas EMS workers focus on the safety and health of our citizens with services of great importance to our community, to our public health, and to our quality of life in the borough of Highbridge. And whereas the year 2020 marks the 46th annual National EMS Week, now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council of Highbridge Borough that we do hereby recognize May 17th through May 23rd, 2020 as EMS Week. We urge all citizens to remember and thank our EMS workers and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our health, safety, and quality of life. Highbridge EMS workers and really all the town of Clinton also, because I've gotten to know them as well over the last few months. They've been on call 24/7, keeping up with the merger, which is a long-term goal that they've had to work together to support not only Highbridge, but a number of communities in North Hunterdon. And they've been really on the front lines and, probably most in danger when it comes to helping our citizens and those that may have come down with this horrible illness over the last 3 months, and maybe even those that just had, regular old health, heart emergency or something that they still had to risk their lives to make sure that they were taken care of. And a reminder that all the EMS workers in Highbridge are volunteers. So again, won't be late with this next year. Wanted to make sure we got it out, better late than never. And thanks to all these guys and women. Okay, on to the public comments. It is the policy of the Borough Council that all public comments on an issue shall be limited to 5 minutes per person, and no person may make more than one comment per subject. Comments may be made on any subject pertaining to borough issues. Comments pertaining to borough hearings should be saved for that section of the agenda. No debating between residents. Comments should be addressed to mayor and council at the public microphone.
If anyone has any questions, if you hover over your name, there should be a button to raise your hand. If you raise your hand in turn, we can unmute you. We'll start your 5 minutes, and we can go along in that fashion. I've also unmuted any call-in users, so they can speak up now if they have anything they'd like to say for 5-minute comments, and we can take those too. Okay, I have Leah Epstein.
Oh, hey, Leah.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep. Name and address, please.
Leah Epstein, 83 North Main Street, Highbridge. I wanted to talk to you guys about the Commons and the parking on North Main Street, which my house, if you don't know, my backyard abuts the Commons, and I've been watching the debacle that's happening at the head of the Columbia Trail throughout this whole thing. Because on weekends, I'm sure, as you all have heard, it's sheer chaos. I was really excited, actually, when the parking lot got partially closed, because I thought it would deter people from coming in and it would be less crowded and safer. But what happened was people just kept coming and they started parking on the street. And then, of course, parts of the street have been closed to parking. I assume with the same goal in mind. I'm just guessing. I don't know this. I'm just assuming that that's, again, to deter so many people from coming in and using the trail and make it less crowded. But effectively what's happened is I have to go to work every day and I come home and I have nowhere to park. Like, I cannot park on my street near my house. My neighbor lets me park in their driveway by their good graces, but and then everyone I know on Church Street and Taylor Street and moving in that direction seems to say the same thing, that the streets are just flooded with people parking there on the weekends. And I'm wondering if, since the limiting the parking in the Commons parking lot hasn't actually reduced the number of people coming into town, perhaps it would be just better for the quality of life of the residents and the taxpayers to simply let people park in the Commons and let the streets sort of open up a little. And there's literally trash on my lawn every weekend because people just leave it there. It's disgusting. And I know I'm not in any way I know that I've seen the borough trying to deal with this. There's tons of out-of-state plates. It is so frustrating as a resident. But particularly since I have nowhere to park, it's especially frustrating. So I just wanted to make sure that's like drawn to your attention. And I don't know if there's a solution, but there you go. That's my comment. If you guys have any response.
Yeah, so I do about this. In fact, I just recently asked about it. I have a little bit of echo, Adam. Can you just...
Somebody's like...
I'm not sure where it's coming from, but there's nothing we can do. The executive order states that the parks have to be limited to 50% parking. And there's literally nothing we can do about it. I totally recognize what chaos this has created. Unfortunately, there's really nothing we can do. I mean, they're allowed to park on North Main. They're allowed to park on Main Street. For you, I mean, I know it's a little bit of a walk, but the owners of Old Borough Hall have allowed us to open up the back parking lot behind Old Borough Hall for people to park in, if that helps you in any way. As soon as we can open up that parking, we're going to. We can't check IDs. We can't say you can only be from Highbridge to use these parks. I mean, we're lucky that it's a beautiful park that people want to come to use. I know that it's inconvenient right now.
Okay. I had a feeling that was what the issue was with the parking in the Commons, that like we're under executive order, but I didn't know.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else on council has another comment on that before the 5 minutes are up.
I know that Mayor Lee and I had a conversation just this afternoon about the parking in the Commons and around town too. And I don't think it's just limited to the current situation with the executive order. Even when the executive order is finally and hopefully lifted soon, we all know that the trail is a big draw and it seems to just be getting bigger and bigger. In fact, all the trails around Highbridge, not just the Columbia Trail, the other biking trails as well. So it's definitely something that's in our forefront of thought, and we're going to be talking about some ideas in the coming weeks.
I mean, I would pay for a town permit to have like parking on my street, just as an aside.
Parking is top priority.
Yeah.
And again, and just to add one last thing, we do have the added complication that McDonald's is closed. Hopefully soon we'll be reopening once that work is complete. So that'll free up some spots. And then once the executive order hopefully is lifted on parking restrictions, parking as a community is going to be, one of the hot topics of conversation for sure.
We check back soon, Leah.
Yeah.
We have some ideas.
Thanks, guys. All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other public comments?
Any comments from call-in users? Okay, I think that is that.
Okay. Introduction ordinance 2020-013, water meters and equipment. Motion to take ordinance from table and reopen the public hearing, ordinance 2020-013. Before we go to roll call, this is just a reminder. We tabled this, when we were basically in the heat of the shutdown moment. I think most people on council know that, but just for anyone that's watching. Roll call.
Move.
Second.
Sorry. Roll call.
Adam there.
Adam, you're up.
There we go. I'm sorry. Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Grange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
So, Chris, do you want to speak to this at all? Because this has also been a pretty hot topic, I think, regarding, water meters and accurate readings versus estimated.
So as everybody recalls, last year we picked a company and a system to go with for radio read meters. We bought the initial setup gear for the reading of the meters and the billing and everything like that. And we bought a few meters. DPW has been very busy replacing meters to date. They've replaced meters that are outside and in pits. In fact, they reached out to all of council this week to see if they want to see if we can get our meters changed, and just so that we could be kind of like the test cases for everybody as well too. So this ordinance is we're appropriating $75,000 to continue this process of changing the water meters. So the water meters, one, there's an accuracy problem as the meters get older. So the meters do need to be replaced anyway. We're doing it in small batches like this to get it done. The other thing that we're doing is we're using these water radio read meters so that DPW doesn't have to go house to house and literally touch every house with a reading device in order to get the reading. The other thing that these meters allow us to do is there's other data that comes from them. There's actually the ability to determine if somebody's had a leak going on at their house and everything. So that it's just a big upgrade for the borough in terms of the water meter, and it's also going to help us with part of our DEP requirements for the new water meters and the not sold water, whatever they call it, non-revenue water that leaks. So it helps us with water leaks and stuff. All the water has to be accounted for. So that's really what this ordinance is for. The money is going to come from the water fund. So it's not on it doesn't come out of the general fund or the taxes. It's actually paid for by our water bills.
And we're not doing it all at once. We're doing it in stages. So notices have been sent out. I believe, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, we were starting up in Solitude. Yeah. Notices have been sent out to those residents that were looking to replace the meters. And it's really beneficial to everyone in the borough that we get more accurate readings sooner. So
a lot of outside meters up in Solitude. We're also, anytime that a meter needs to be replaced, if somebody wants to have their meter checked to make sure it's accurate, the meter actually comes out to have that done. So while they're taking out the meters to do these, if there's a leaky meter or an inaccurate meter, they're just replacing it with the water read meter right off the bat. There's no charge to the resident directly for coming in to change the meter. But as Mayor Lee said, that it does help us, and the more accurate we are, the better.
any questions from the public?
Okay.
Okay. Motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 2020-013.
Second?
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes. We lose Lynn. Moore,
Yes.
Strange,
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes. It is on.
Lynn is on. Lynn, can you hear us? She on mute?
He's on mute.
Lynn, you're on mute. There you go, unmuted.
Oh, now she. Oh,
You there, Lynn? Oh. Here, I'll unmute you. Are you there?
I'm trying to be there.
there we go.
Okay, motion to adopt ordinance 2020-013.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Strange,
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-025, construction records clearance. Motion to open the public hearing.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Strange,
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Chris or Bonnie, I think, are probably more experts on this one than me.
I think Bonnie is even more than me. If she wants to speak. If she has
Sure. So
she can correct me.
this is a program that's popular in a lot of other towns, and what it provides is a means for the seller of a house to prove that the improvements done were done by permit, so that the new owner, the new buyer of the property, is secure in buying it. So it just makes sure everything is up to code before it changes hands.
And it looks like you're adjusting some fees.
Yeah, there is a fee to do the research, just to look up those records and make sure that everything was in order.
Okay.
That we do now on request, and it takes time for the staff member at Borough Hall to dig through all the records and do this. So we're just kind of getting it straight by charging a fee for it.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Questions?
I think we're good, Mayor.
Okay. Motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 2020-025.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Strange,
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2020-025.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Strange,
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Okay, introduction, no discussion items. So introduction of ordinances, ordinance 2020-030, setting construction fees. Oh, sorry, motion to introduce.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Strange,
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
And this is the one actually, Bonnie, that I was referring to where the fees were being adjusted. So, and that's available on the website. So Mayor Lee, I state that ordinance 2020-030 shall be published in the Express Times and or the Hunterdon County Democrat, along with the public hearing date of June 11th, 2020. On to the consent agenda, resolution 133-2020 through 139-2020. Anybody have anything they want to take off or discuss? Okay. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Grange.
Yes.
Zapp.
Yes.
Okay, council committee assignments. First up, Councilman Zappa.
Thank you, Mayor. Everybody's been, or if you have not, McDonald Street is moving along very nicely. We're down to just really doing the paving on it, so hopefully it's going to get done pretty soon. I had a question from a resident during the week about Mine Road. The bridge on Mine Road was replaced last year, as we know, and there's still a little bit of work that needs to be done on either side of the bridge in terms of paving. The top coat, from what I found out this afternoon, thanks to Rick, our DPW director, looked into it for me and found out that the county was really kind of shut down almost completely, the road department almost completely for the past few months, and they just started back up this week. So they have a lot of projects they have to get to. So that work is going to be done hopefully soon, but they couldn't give us a scheduled date. If anybody has any questions about anything about that, please call the county road department and they can so DPW, as we were talking before, they're back on.
That's my clock. I am sorry.
They're back at full staff again. Everybody's working together. It's very hard to work when you're fractured like that in the shifts. I'm doing the same thing right now where I work, and it's just tough, really tough trying to figure out where somebody else left off and where we need to pick up, and doing everything over Teams meetings. And but DPW is all back together again. In fact, we're about to get a little bit bigger. We have our new hire starting on Monday. So they're back to a weekly mowing schedule on the fields. They've replaced 18 new radio read meters have been installed. They fields at Nassau and on Dewey Avenue. They power washed Borough Hall and the police station. They did some plumbing work over at Union Forge Park in the Huskies building there. Filled some potholes, catch basins were marked, and some stop and yield lettering were done on the streets. West Main Street has been marked out for the future water main replacement. You'll see all the marks that run all the way up Main Street. That's going to be a big deal for our water system. That's a kind of a weak link, and it's undersized, so the pipe is almost being doubled in size, so it's really going to help. We're doing phase 3 and phase 4 of Washington Avenue. Those are all marked out, and the engineers are working on it. Our new bucket truck is in, and it's a used bucket truck. It's new to us, but it's getting lettered right now. Hopefully it's going to say Highbridge. And everybody's been trained on it, so they're ready to go as soon as we get it. And their DPW's back on summer hours. The conference is open again for brush drop-off, so look at the website for the schedule. It is open this weekend from 9 to 1. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Chris. Next up, Councilwoman Hughes.
The Environmental Commission has been meeting through our Zoom meets, and we're working right now on our Tree City recertification. Every year we have to recertify all of the statuses that we have for that. Document shredding will go on Saturday, June 27th, 9 to noon. People need to wear masks, social distancing. There will be 2 containers. We'll let 2 cars in at a time. You get out, you dump your stuff, and you get in your car and you drive on through. Electronics recycling is Saturday, July 25th, 8:30 to noon. And again, mask, social distancing, and you have to remove your own items. We will not have student volunteers helping. That is it.
Okay, short and sweet. Like it. Councilwoman Moore, Finance.
All right. Just a reminder, this Monday, June 1st, is the last day to pay your second quarter property taxes without penalty. Remember, it was extended by a month, so you have this last month to get it in. Payments can be made online on the Borough website or dropped off at Investors Bank in Clinton or dropped off at the blue box in front of Borough Hall. You can send them via regular mail, but you probably want to get them in by tomorrow's because they have to be received there by June 1st. The estimated tax bills for the third quarter will be mailed out in the upcoming weeks. Just a heads up, 98% of the first quarter tax payments and 91% of the second quarter taxes due have been received, which is actually very good news. Overall taxes collected year to date are 3% higher than last year's collections. The homestead credits have not been released by the state due to the pandemic. There is no indication yet when they will be coming. The utility payments, which everyone's probably received by now, for the second quarter have been extended to June 30th, so you have some time to get those paid. And then an ordinance appropriating an additional $75,000 in equipment on tonight's agenda will allow us to continue with the second year of our meter replacement program, which was discussed earlier by Chris. So I got my phone call today, and I'm getting mine replaced. So we're looking forward to that. It'd be nice to have an accurate reading for my meter. I'm looking forward to that. So that's it.
Thanks, Leanne. Councilman Strange.
Okay. Am I unmuted or muted? I'm good. Okay. So we had, I'll start with rec. We had a rec meeting earlier in May. We did not have everybody be able to get onto the Zoom meeting, but we discussed the ordinance changes, which are upcoming. There are still a few edits being worked on. These are the ordinances that define the rec committee and its jobs and status and everything, and also the ordinances relating to parks and playgrounds. They hadn't been updated in a long time, and one example is there was stuff about parking in there, and we've already got parking stuff in another place that conflicted with it. So just trying to make sure everything's consistent, and the same is happening with other committees as well. So hopefully soon we'll get those all done. Of course, as with many of the events, things have been canceled or put off. The only thing that hasn't been is the state free fishing day, because that's up to the state. So if they decide to still have a free, you don't need a licensed fishing day on June, I think it's the 8th, I think is the date. It might be the 7th. Then, okay, great. I'll go down there and I'll be at the lake with some fishing poles and people can come fish. The flow trails finally were finished. All the construction is done and the safety signs are up and stuff. We haven't done an official opening, but they're built, which is nice. It's nice to have a project completed in the midst of all of the problems that have gone on. And the sad thing is the summer rec, of course, we're not doing summer rec the way we usually do, but a lot of ideas are being tossed around about if there is an alternative for how to deal with something for summer rec. And Barb Kinski and others are working on that, trying to develop something. Having spent the last 3.5 months trying to deal with children online and getting them to do stuff via the computer, I can tell you that it doesn't really work. But we got to come up with something to give people. And I think the best things are when you send them out, you give them stuff, say, hey, try this. And you give them instructions and they get to go try something fun. So hopefully that will work. It's better than having them do math, I guess. In terms of emergency services, the fire department, of course, everybody's been trying to hold back. So the fire department has held back on their non-emergency work details and things like that they can, if they can cut back, they have, to reduce the amount of contact people are having with each other. They still, of course, are responding to calls, and I think I've had, 107 calls to date this period, 1,800 hours. So they're still working. Just like you had said with the EMS, these guys, EMS, fire, and police are all out there on the front line dealing with this. They can't take the day off or work from home. So we appreciate all the work that they do for sure. Just one last thing. I'll say that when it comes to all the ordinances, the police chief is always, Chief Bartman is always a invaluable asset for trying to come up with good wording and make sure all of our ordinances are going to work and can be enforced. So I always want to say thank you there. And the EMS Clinton merger continues to progress, and this is a bad timing for them, but they're aiming to have this all go smoothly and to have uninterrupted and maybe an even better service for the residents of Highbridge. I think it's important people know that that's their objective in the long run, to have even better service for all of us. So they're looking out for us. I think that will do it.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. Councilwoman Ferry.
Okay, so for June, we have events canceled for the events committee, unfortunately. Soapbox Derby, which was supposed to take place the first weekend in June, and we had hoped that we could reschedule, and we've determined that we cannot reschedule that for a few reasons. Streetscape funding, and of course, our COVID situation and social distancing. Also, unfortunately, Community Day will not take place, but the events committee is working hard to find out alternative events to plan, possibly a pop-up drive-in movie at the golf course parking lot, but we still need to do our homework and find out how much that would cost. But honestly, I'll be honest with you, because of the situation with COVID, I don't want to make any promises. We don't have, things could change, and also money, we just didn't get the sponsorship in because our sponsors are local businesses. So with that, I just want you to know that the events committee is trying hard. We will try to put on our concerts. We do have funding for that. So as long as we are able to host larger than 25, we'll be able to do it. So that I can tell you is the most likely to occur. And then we will meet with Mayor Lee on our Zoom meeting on June 17th, and we will provide her anything we've decided, have come up with. And at that point, we can determine and report to you back at the end of June if, any other types of events can happen. With that, onto the historical committee. We had our first Zoom meeting this week, which was great. And they're working towards a deadline on June 6th for the Preserve New Jersey Historical Site Management Grant. And we're excited about that. A lot of hard work. Nancy Hunt, as well as the committee members, have gone into that. And then we are also working on the possibility of an outdoor speaker series in the Commons. And that would have to be limited to 25 people. That could possibly happen soon. We'll keep you posted on that as well. We're also excited about looking into the potential of getting cataloging software and updating information on the new Borough website. And hopefully we will get that Borough website up to you. It's a pretty cool website. A lot of work's gone into that. And that should be coming to you towards the end of June. And that is it.
All right, thank you. Councilman Columbus.
All right, thank you. Golf first, golf year-to-date through April, the rounds were 2,688 on a budget of 5,041. The rounds were down 2,353 to budget. So we approximately over 3,400 were lost at the end of April and March due to lost in April and the end of March due to the COVID closure. Revenue stands at 111,804, the budget of 184,225. The revenue down 72,421 to budget, which isn't that bad considering we potentially lost about 130 in revenue due to the 6-week COVID period at closure. Year-to-date expenses, 234, 296 on budget of 272,205. Expenses are under roughly 38,000 the budget, about 21,000 savings in labor, and operations under about 16.5, resulting from the closure period. The May forecast is looking pretty good. We have 2,700 rounds on a budget of 3,900. Initially, around May 2nd, I believe the governor's executive order allowed twosomes every 16 minutes. And then just before Memorial Weekend, foursomes were allowed every 16 minutes. The foursomes being allowed dramatically helped the operation financially at the course. So that's a great thing for May. The course did have strong winter months, January and February, the first 2 weeks of March, which also helped cut into the loss due to the pandemic. Selling passes in the same calendar year was very good for the golf course. Our proactive rate optimization prior to the course reopening helped out and helped ease into our status that we're at now. So things aren't as bad as they seem. As long as the weather holds and we continue to get these foursomes in, we could catch up some ground over here. New golf carts are being used. We have the new app. Everyone's using it. Well, we have about 300 downloads on the new app. The cart path extension on hole 8 was completed this past Tuesday. We'll be ready for use this weekend. Pump house projects completed. We have a new motor pump assembly, and a rebuilt motor going. The system's running fine. And President's Day most likely pushed until later in the year. I think it's scheduled to be for tomorrow, but with everything going on with COVID, we're looking forward to the date for that. And EDC, that's it for golf, but EDC continuing to explore grant opportunities for the town. That's basically everything I have.
George, how many downloads of the app did you say there were?
300. Hopefully I said that correctly. Did I say 3,000?
I thought you said 300,000.
No, yeah, sorry. Down a couple zeros off. 300. Yeah.
That's still a good number.
Yeah. I think it was 308 to be exact.
All right. Well, it just came out, so. Was that it, George? I'm sorry.
That's everything. Unless you have any questions.
Nope. Good. Thank you. Bonnie Flynn, you're up.
So as Councilwoman Moore mentioned, the June 1st is the last day to pay your property taxes for the second quarter. There's no grace period after that. So June 1st is it. The tax appeal filing deadline was extended to 30 days following a determination by the governor that the state of emergency declared under Executive Order number 103 has ended. So as far as I'm concerned, that's still ongoing, the filing of tax appeals. The newsletter is on schedule to be mailed out next week. Note sale will be held on June 9th for bond anticipation notes that are maturing at the end of June. There were 7 interviews that were conducted for the new candidates for the DPW position, and 1 was filled. So yeah, Zoom is the new thing now for me. That's what I've been dealing with most of this month. We had a Zoom meeting also with the new municipal housing liaison and the COA and affordable housing professionals to discuss the mid-year reports that need to be filed. And as Councilwoman Ferry mentioned, we have been gathering documents to submit for the historical grant application. We did receive 2 very kind letters of support from Senator Doherty and Assemblyman DeMaio also. So that was very nice. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I just wanted to, a couple things that I think I kind of chose to not make a big statement at the beginning of the meeting because I think a lot of the news is, I don't want to say it's tapered off, but it's pretty consistent. Thankfully, Highbridge remains at 19 positive cases of COVID-19 here in the borough, which I think is really good. I think, honestly, all of us worked to get ahead of this about a month ahead of the eastern part of the state. So I think we're doing okay. Last weekend, we had the first virtual Memorial Day ceremony, even though the ceremony itself was limited to 10 people. Most of the 10 made up of the American Legion members. Of course, Councilwoman Hughes was there. I was there, and we had it filmed. I know Bonnie forwarded me a couple of emails. I received a couple of emails, really positive feedback that we were able to continue with that ceremony, especially for our veterans. So I was glad that we were able to do that. Natalie mentioned we're working on the website redesign, which is really exciting, and I'm hoping we can get that out before the end of the month. This past weekend, I presented a certificate to Brianna Cuevas. I hope I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. She was a semi-finalist in the Lewis Bay Municipal Leaders Scholarship Program that was offered through the League of Municipalities, and she was pretty excited to get that. She's a soon-to-be grad of Voorhees High School. And I just wanted to add to something Councilman Strange said, is that the Commons Flow Trails, the pump track, okay, I'm not in a meeting. The Commons Trails, the pump track, and the dog park are all officially open. We had kind of a very soft, quiet, open to these parks. People were kind of using them anyway, so we made sure the rules were in place and that our insurance company was satisfied and that we could officially open them for public use. All three of these parks were mostly funded by donations. Jorba, Avid Trails, they're really exciting. It's a great part of for the community. I know it's adding to the problem of parking back in the Commons, but I assure you that in the long term, it's going to be good for everybody, and we're working on a solution there. Must wear helmets, and you must pick up your dog poop. Those are number 1 and 2 biggest rules back there. And we're still restricting making sure people are it's on an honor system there, but if you're on the trails, please try to make sure you're keeping a safe social distance. And if you're within the dog park and you see it's a big crowd in there, please hold back. We need to keep people less than 25 people in these areas. And then I think that is it. I think all of us have, speaking for myself and everyone on council, I think we've all worked pretty hard over the last 3 months to think on our toes, to be open to ideas, and to try to make it the best of things for everyone in the borough. So again, I just want to thank you guys, everyone that's here on council tonight, and people that have been tuning in regularly. And I'm hopeful that June we'll be able to meet in person at the firehouse, but fingers crossed, things change every day. That's all I have. On to the second round of public comments, 5 minutes per person. We still have some public there, so. Any questions?
Let's see, one from Rick Roll. All right, Rick.
Mayor and Council, I want to apologize. Just late notice. Monday, we start with the assistance of the fire department. We'll start our fire hydrant flushing program. So if anyone experiences low water or brown water, the fire department will be systematically flushing the fire hydrants over the next 6 or 8 weeks. Just bear with us. It's a DEP regulation that we have to do every year. So it wouldn't be done if it wasn't for the help of the fire department. That's it.
Rick, you have like a schedule or something in place so that we can make sure we properly notify residents that might be affected as best as we can?
It's all over the place. We follow the fire hydrants. Each are numbered. So they'll do a couple in one section and then move to another section of town, do a few more, and then move to another section. So we're not straining one particular area. They're literally bouncing all over the borough.
So fun for everybody.
Yes.
Rick, there's no concern with drinking the water while these are being flushed, right?
No, there won't be any boil water alerts because it's a scheduled flushing. So if you get any brown or discolored water, you can always call the DPW. We'll tell you where they're at in that day. Just bear with us. It's something that has to be done.
a little extra iron.
Each hydrant only takes a few minutes to flush, but whenever you open a hydrant, you always take that chance of stirring the pipes up a little bit.
Okay, thanks. Any other public comments?
I think that's it, Mayor.
Okay. On to legal issues, Barry, with no tie.
Yeah, nothing to report tonight. Aren't you glad?
I am glad. That's excellent.
No
Thank you.
major problems.
That's great. No news is good news. Communications, Adam.
We have the monthly tax and finance reports, which are attached to the documents.
Yeah. Always good stuff in there. Approval of the bill list. Motion to approve.
Move.
Oh, well, Adam, why don't you tell us what's on the bill list first before anyone with their vote.
I applaud your eagerness. Is $284,036.06.
Oh, okay. Motion to approve the bill list.
Go ahead, Strange.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Okay, there's no further business. Motion to adjourn.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Okay, great. As I mentioned, I'm hopeful that June 11th we'll be back at the firehouse, but we'll make sure everyone has plenty of notice ahead of that. 7:30, June 11th. Meeting adjourned.